and gentlemen, good morning, and welcome to the first session of the mobility track. My name is Jérôme Pourbet. I'm working for the International Association of Public Transport. We are a global network of professionals and organizations working on urban mobility. The topic of this session this morning is integrating all means of urban transportation. I believe this is a very timely topic, as the landscape of urban mobility is changing very fast. In particular, a lot of new players have entered the area of urban mobility, and existing players have reinvented the role from industry providers to service providers. So this is linked, of course, to technology development, new business strategies, and the development of the sharing economy. Even though most of these developments are quite an early stage, this is starting to change things for travelers, for transport authorities, and in fact for all stakeholders. This is creating opportunities. There are more choices available to travelers, less need to own a car in cities. It complements the offer of public transport, but it also brings challenges. In particular, a risk of fragmentation of the urban mobility market. So what does integration of all mode means in that context? We have a very fine panel of speakers to inspire us about this. So they will speak one after the other. In the rest of time, I suggest that all questions will be taken at the end of the session. So before we start, I would like, because I think it's nice also for the speakers to see who is in the audience in front of them, I would like you to tell us by show of hands who is from A, local government, B, service providers, C, academia, and D, none of the above. So who are from local governments? From service providers? From academia? And from none of the others? Okay, so thank you. So the first speaker this morning is Mr. Abdulla Al-Madani. Mr. Al-Madani works for the Road and Transport Authority in Dubai. He is the CEO of the Corporate Technical Support Services. He has extensive experience in IT and providing technical support services to RTA. Mr. Al-Madani told us that Dubai has the ambition to be the smartest city in the world by 2017, and he will tell us all about this project. Mr. Madani, the floor is yours.
Hola, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I hope that I can give you a little bit idea about what we are doing in Dubai. To start with, Dubai has set a vision to become the smartest city in 2017. So to achieve that, the government has asked both the government and the private sector to work hand in hand to deliver this, and we will take you through that. So basically, this is a citywide initiative that we are working on, and everyone is involved from government, private sector, and the public as well. So to achieve that, we have set like 4 pillars, and the 4 pillars are efficiency, to have a seamless integration in the daily life, and to have safe and anticipated risk and protect people and information, and to be impactful. So, and then we have put also 6 basically areas, okay, which is economy, living, governance, environment, people, and most important for today's topic is mobility. So I'm going to be focusing more on the mobility area today. The aim is was a vision by our leader, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, the ruler of Dubai, as he has last year has put this vision in to transform Dubai into the smartest city in the world by 2017. And his vision was to use technology and to make a better life for people who are living in Dubai. And to make Dubai a happy place for both its residents and its visitors as well. In RTA, the Roads and Transport Authority, I'm going to be a little bit telling you about who we are, and as a government, one of the government entities in Dubai, we are responsible basically for providing transportation from point A to point B for anyone who wants to travel in the city. To achieve that, we have put a vision that we want to have a safe and a smooth transport for all. For the Smart City initiative that Dubai has, we are contributing to about 22 initiatives, and I'm going to be putting light on some of them. We are transforming about 200 of our services to smart services to be able for the people in Dubai to use them whenever they want and wherever they are through mobile phones and mobile devices. And we are also embarking on establishing a unified control and command center. This is a project that we're calling it EC-Cube. So E stands for Enterprise, Command and Control Center. We have set a plan. The plan, we have done it into 3 areas or 3 major programs. The first one is Enterprise, a smart enterprise. So in order to provide smart services in the city, we need to have our back end smart. So enterprise, smart enterprise does that for us. Then we have put a smart public transport, which all the modes of transport in the city, whether they are buses, metro, or the newly inaugurated tram service, and the taxis will be part of it. And we have the smart traffic and parkings, which provide the smart solutions for the drivers and the people who are looking for parkings in the city. We have also changed our strategic goals. We've changed 2 of our goals. One of them dedicated to Smart Dubai. Okay, the other one is people happiness. So these are the 2 that we have put in place to make sure that we will achieve the Dubai vision. And as you can see here, the Smart City program actually touches on almost the 7 of the goals that we have in our strategic plan. To give you a little bit of information what we are doing, some examples. First of all, I'm going to talk about the smart bus. So what we are doing, we're making our buses smarter by providing different solutions, different smart solutions, like automated fare collection, journey planner, dedicated bus line monitoring, and so on. Some majority of them are available today. A few of them, they are being done, and we'll be finishing them by 2016. Smart taxis, we are introducing new smart things within the taxis, and we've also introduced a taxi app that makes it easy for people to call for a taxi, and also evaluate and give grades to the taxi driver after they use the service. In the metro and the tram, we are basically having again the automated fare collection. Dubai Metro is the longest metro that is driverless, so we don't have a driver, so totally is dedicated running on the smart technologies. And then also we have introduced the NFC lately with our 2 telco companies which are in Dubai, Etisalat and Du, to basically make it easy and seamless for people to access the public transport using their mobile phones. And finally, just a little bit of information about the smart roads that we have. Of course, we have a free flow tolling gates, so there is no need for people to stop. It's basically you just have to go under the gate, and it actually uses RFID technology to validate that your car has moved and to charge you. We have also smart parkings, and we've started allocating now parkings. We've done our first pilot for about 390 parkings, which have sensors that will allow us to see, which allow the customers to basically know where are the available parkings, and also the major parking multi-story car parks within the city are also being available, so that people that want to park and they want to access these multi-story car parks, they will know which ones are available and which floor the parkings are available. So this is just real fast and introduction about what we're doing in Dubai, and I'll be available for further questions at the end. Thank you.
Mr. Al-Madani, for this very comprehensive, for presenting this very comprehensive program of actions that covers all aspects of mobility. Thank you very much. So our second speaker this morning is John Nelson. John works for Aberdeen University, where he is the director of the Center for Transport Research. John is also the 6th century chair of the Transport Research Studies, and as he has many hats, he is also co-director and theme leader for intelligent mobility at the Rural Digital Economy Hub. John will speak about how users, travelers can also contribute to data for journey planning with case studies from different countries around the world. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jerome, and good afternoon, everybody. And as Jerome said, I'm going to talk a little bit about some aspects of journey planning, and particularly about the data requirements and about the role that users can play in the generation of data. And I think this fits quite well with the overall theme of this session, because if we're to integrate modes of transport, we need information about those modes, and we need to know about user preferences and as well. So just a few introductory remarks on journey planning, an old topic, I think, but one that it's timely to look at in a new light. There's lots of pre-existing research. People in this room, I'm sure, have contributed to some of it. And we know that users, travelers, all of us want good quality information. We want it to be accurate. We want it to be personalized to our needs. We know what we need to do. We need to focus on content. We need to understand the institutional and legal issues. We need to know how to organize that information. We need to understand the technical issues, and of course we need the data. And I think it's timely to look at the data, because we've got a burgeoning agenda relating to open data, the use of crowdsourcing, and so on. If we were to ask people to indicate their favourite journey planners, I'm sure we'd have a very long list. I happen to like the one that's in Sydney, the one in TfL in London, for example, and also to emphasise that there are now door-to-door journey planners for international journey planning, such as the Enhanced Wise Trip project. But in talking to travellers, what do they want? They want information in real time. They want it to be accurate. They want it to be timely. They want it to be relevant to them. And increasingly, because we know that disruption does occur, even in the smartest of cities, they want information about that disruption and information on the alternatives for coping with that disruption. As I mentioned already, I think the agenda is quite exciting at the moment. The possibility of utilizing open data sources, of working with the crowd, of using mobile devices as sources of information, both locationing and user-generated content, and of working with the issues relating to provenance and quality, especially when that content is generated by users themselves. In our own work at Aberdeen, we've been working on the development of an experimental ecosystem. Starting from the bottom, we have various domain sources of data. I mentioned the open data already, so taking account of bus stop location, published timetable information, operator information, existing infrastructure for locationing and other sensors, observations derived from passengers themselves, and most recently incorporating social media as a source of information. And I will refer to that again, because I think it's still an agenda that transport operators in particular need to work hard on. That information is delivered to users through a variety of web services and a variety of clients as well. And we've developed an experimental app. I know that there are a lot of transport apps already, all vying for a congested marketplace. But we particularly wanted to look at this agenda of providing information to users in a personalised and user-centric way. So in the work that we've done in our app, it's an Android app. It allows users to view information about their routes, the scheduled information, to compare it with the real-time information using their mobile phone as the locationing device. So they need to trigger the app to start collecting data as they board a bus. And this has the benefit of being lightweight, low cost, highly transferable, and not needing to depend on the locationing infrastructure of any particular operator, although of course that is complementary information where it is available. Working with one of our local bus operators, First Group, we've worked across several locations in Scotland, Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Glasgow, just understanding how the transport operators themselves are using social media, looking at how passengers are using it, and looking at the technology challenges. And there are a number of themes that emerge from this. First of all, users in particular generally like social media. They like the aspect of what we've called the persistent conversation, that you can continue to receive information beyond the duration just of the journey itself. The idea of a familiar virtual face. Its use for provision of real-time information, both in a proactive and reactive context. And quite interesting to see the ways in which issues of identity management by operators are handled. An individual persona, and if you look at the Wordle there, you'll see Amy. Amy is the name, the username for the Twitter service in the Edinburgh case, but actually managed by a number of different individuals. And there seems to be a collapsing of the roles of social media. Marketing meets real-time travel information, meets customer service. Now, a lot of our work has been looking at the potential of harnessing the crowd as a source of transport data, and you appreciate that there's a significant, we haven't always been able to work in areas where we can get a crowd. So we've moved now to take our application to Mumbai, working with colleagues at the Indian Institute for Technology in Mumbai, to see whether we can explore the application of this app in the Indian context, and particularly engage with issues of provenance and linked open data, and also look at the travel behaviour implications. Because we're working at a campus level, we get residential and working facilities, we get journeys being taken within a relatively confined boundary, but also going beyond the boundary of the campus itself. And the idea of the project is to develop the concept of a smart city in miniature. And so to conclude, I think there's considerable evidence that shows that a key factor in influencing customer satisfaction is by empowering customers with a sense of certainty about their journey. And now the sense of certainty can be extended by engaging them as providers or producers of information as well. We need ecosystems that are transferable, be it both at a geographical or spatial scale, but obviously updatable as well. We need to make use of open data and be able to discern the provenance and the quality of that data, and we need to incorporate crowdsourcing into the information ecosystem. Social media is a rich source of data, but our conversations with transport operators in particular suggest that they have still yet to embrace the full potential. Okay, thank you, Jerome.
Thank you very much, John. I think you have covered a lot of very essential aspects of smart mobility in smart cities, the focus on the customer, open data, social media, crowdsourcing. Thank you very much. So let's now listen to the third speaker. The third speaker is Mr. Adrià Gomila. Adrià is the mobility director at the Barcelona municipality. Before then, he was mobility director at Sabadell municipality, and even before worked at Barcelona. So he's an insider of mobility in Barcelona. Mr. Gomila will show us the main line of the new mobility plan, the new sustainable mobility plan for Barcelona, which has a quite ambitious modal shift objective.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm going to explain you the Euro mobility plan of Barcelona, because it's the main tool, the strategic main tool that we are using to improve the mobility in the city. First of all, it's a plan that follows the legal rules in Catalonia and in Spain. The Catalan rules make us to make a very sustainable mobility. And what are the main objectives of this plan? We want a safe mobility. We need to reduce the number of accidents associated with mobility. We want a sustainable mobility. We want to facilitate the modal shift towards a more sustainable modes, reduce the air pollution, the noise, the energy consumption, and the use of clean energy. The mobility is a main aspect to achieve these goals in a city, in a smart city. We also want an equitable mobility. Everybody has the right of move in the city, and very important, we want an efficient mobility. The mobility is important. It's necessary for the economic activity of the city. So we are important to increase the efficiency of the transportation systems and incorporate new technologies in the mobility management. The main goals we have now in safe mobility, our objective is reduce 30% the number of persons died in the way to the 2018, and reduce 20% the number of serious injuries. These are realistic objectives. We are sure that we are going to achieve this. We don't want to put a very high objectives, are realistic objective. Sustainable mobility. Here the objective is that all the measuring points of the city apply the European parameters in all the stations of the city. The goal is very clear. Equitable mobility. Here we are changing the bus network and is one of the cheapest ways to move in the city. And the 99% of the population will have a bus stop very near, and with within a really good average frequency of 6 minutes. And finally, in the axis of efficient mobility, we are working a lot with the goods distribution systems, with micro-logistics and other ideas, because the goods distribution it's necessary for the economic activity of the city. We are talking about the mobility of persons and goods, okay, not only persons. And how we are going to do this? Well, following what you have talked of some things. There's one thing is using technology, and one thing is also with the information systems, using the information systems to achieve these goals. We are changing the organization of the city with the idea of the super blocks. I will explain later, so I prefer to go through. As I said, that this new bus network, orthogonal, easy to know and easy to use. So, and with good frequency of bus. We are going to total develop the cyclist network of the city. As we will see later, we are changing the model split, and what we say is that we are not going to have a worse, more congestion in the city. Okay, we are going to reduce the space for the cars, but we are going to apply technology to not increase the congestion of the city. So we are going to maintain the level of the current level of traffic service. All the environment, the parameters of the air quality of the use of the vehicles, obviously going to make complaints of this. Promotion and positive discrimination for the high occupancy vehicles. This is a more clever use of the car in the city. Okay, and a basic tool is the parking. The parking is a tool if we want to achieve these changes in the modal split. So we will continue working with the parking. Okay, making real actions with the parking, with the supply and with the price of the parking, and finally improving the efficiency of loading and unloading. Okay, the good distribution. Also, it's an important line. Where are we going? If we maintain the line, we will reach the blue circle. Okay, and our plan tries to change some of this trend scenario. Okay, and exactly what does it mean? That means an increase of 10% of the trips made by foot. Okay, an increase of 66% of the trips made by bicycle in the city, an increase of 3.5 of the trips made by public transport, and a reduction of the 21% of the trips made by car. Okay, this when I said going for sustainable mobility, we're talking about this, and the idea is to maintain the economic activity of the city, and not to have more congestion in the city. Okay. In numbers, because the percentage is one figure, but here we have the figures in number of trips. Obviously, I came back in this scenario of the 2018. The 35% of the trips will be made on foot, 2.5 by bicycle, 41 in public transport, and 21 by car. And we think this will be real. Why? Because if we continue with the line, the trend we have till now, see that the trended scenario is not so different than the one we are planning. Okay, so this is not a new way we are taking now. We are continuing actions done in the years before. And what actions we do? We have number one actions for pedestrians by foot. Number two, actions for the bicycles. Number three, for public transport. 4, urban distribution of goods, and private transport. And finally, okay, I see I have enough time. I was afraid I wouldn't have enough time to explain this. There's a conception of the city, not only in mobility, is an idea of all the municipality of Barcelona to change the model. We are building this new model to think the city with super blocks. Okay, what does it mean? That we will have different kind of streets. The red streets are the streets with high capacity, but not only for the cars, also for the public transport. Okay, and that leave us some streets where we will not have so high demand of mobility. Okay, so we can make better conditions for the neighbors. Okay, that means that we have in this super block model. Okay, well, it's the same shown in another figure. Okay, not all the streets will be the same in the city. What does it mean in a city map? Okay, we have all these yellow dots where the conditions of the street will be more comfortable for walking, and the pedestrians for playing the children in the streets, and so on. What does it mean in the different variables? Okay, what we're going in the space for pedestrians, accessibility, air quality, the noise, the livability index of the public space. And finally, in the last minute, I'm going to use every one of the seconds I have. The actions. We have 7 actions specifically for pedestrian. The total of the actions of the plan. Okay, 13 for bicycles, 19 for public transport, 9 for the goods distribution, and 18 for the public transport. And here you have the information if you want to go through. It's not there's not an explanation. It's graphic information. Okay, of the actions by foot, bicycles, public transport. There's a lot of information here. It's a big plan. Okay, urban distribution of goods, and finally private vehicle. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Adrià. I think that Barcelona has a very long tradition of sustainable transport planning, and this plan shows that you are going ahead in the same direction for the next years. Thank you very much. So our next speaker is Mr. Eric Marc Huitema. Mr. Huitema works for IBM, where he's responsible for smarter transportation solutions. Mr. Huitema is a specialist in intelligent transportation solutions, and he has a wealth of experience in advising cities, national government, and the private sector in managing transportation modes more safely and more efficiently.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. And it is a pleasure to be a speaker, next to the city of Dubai, Barcelona, in between Aberdeen. And what we do is we are very glad that we can support cities like Dubai and Barcelona in achieving those goals. And in achieving those goals, we have to move from their current situation, being smart, to being really smart with transportation. And we create that vision and we realize that by using the data which is there, which we call the instruments, connecting them and bringing them to life in the back office to make them intelligent. Because you can have a lot of data, but if the data is not analyzed well, you have a mess. But if you analyze it well, then you can really act on the data. And that's why we help cities with our transportation management center assets to face their challenges. And the challenges are here clearly marked on the slide. The reduced budgets, but also the especially increased delivery expectations of the citizens. And of course, we have aging infrastructures, and in some cities we also have increased threats. And what we do, we want to convert this into benefits, increasing revenue, operational efficiency, reduce costs, and really have the city to work as an economic vital element of the society. And we then move from the 3 I's I showed you earlier, interconnected, instrumented, and intelligent, to the 3 A's, which are awareness, leveraging, using the data to know what's going on, then to anticipate of what is going to happen, because if you know what's happening, then you can anticipate and you really can act, the 3rd A. And if you act before there is a problem, you can solve a problem. And that's why we use big data to solve the city's problems. And you saw the ambitions of Barcelona. And in our experience with cities, and this is more than 1,000, even more than 5,000 cities now we have worked with, we have reduced congestion by 25%. And that might be a surprise. We increased the sales, the retail sales in the center of the city. And I will give you some examples after this slide. We reduced the emissions, increased the fuel economy of the fleet, the city's fleet or the taxi fleet, reduced traffic delays, increased public transport ridership, and saw a large improvement of amount of people that wanted to walk, making the city a walkable city. Less waiting time at pedestrian crossings, less vehicle collisions, less incidents, less accidents, but also increasing the response time. For instance, Madrid, here in Spain, we increased the response time for emergency services by 80%. Cyclists, less injured, and pedestrian accidents reduced. So let me show you some more examples. The way we are helping cities to generate new funds to invest in the quality of the city is, for instance, by road user charging, like Dubai has implemented, but we did that also for Gothenburg, London, Stockholm, and Norway. But also in Eindhoven, we took the car data and connected the cars with their car sensors. Every car has more than 100 sensors. We connected this data to our back office, and we analyzed the data. And we could predict and we could sense unexpected road conditions, slippery roads, fog, and all kinds of problems by using the data from the cars. And the 3rd example is what we did in Lyon. In Lyon, we started replanning the city's deliveries. If you have delivery companies, they make their planning every morning, and they go sometimes to the same spot all at the same time, creating a huge mess, a big traffic jam. So now we have changed this way of working, and we worked with 2 companies, Transdev as a transportation company doing better travel planners, multimodal travel planners, and a PTV group analyzing the data from traffic models. And we combine that, and we now get the data in the morning from all the delivery companies. And we tell them, if you're doing this, you all create a big mess at this delivery location. So we give them feedback. If they change their planning a little bit, then they are more efficient, and the city doesn't face the big traffic jams because they spread the load of the deliveries equally amongst the city. So that's, I think, a good example of how we can work with cities. And we analyze the data that we get from cities. So we move from real-time data to predictive data, because real-time is too late. If you're traveling now and your destination is half an hour away, then you don't want to know what is the traffic right now in your destination half an hour away. You want to know the traffic condition when you arrive there. So you have to predict what is happening. And that's what we are doing. We are now so accurate that we can predict when and where an accident will happen, just by looking at the graphs on this slide. And analyzing the data capacity and the capacity of the road and the amount of cars and trucks that are going there, we predict that there will be a traffic accident at this spot, at this time, exactly. We cannot predict which car, but we can predict when and where. And then the police and the towing truck can be there to solve the problem by taking the cars that have been in the accident that we predicted, take them off the road immediately, and that of course reduces a lot of traffic jams because you don't have a big buildup of traffic behind it. The people are less injured because they are helped straight away. The problem is solved because we can predict the problem. And we work together with the city of Rio de Janeiro to plan this also for big events like the World Cup football. We have done that, and in 2016 we will do this for the Olympics. In Nice, Côte d'Azur, we integrate the multimodal travel between the air traffic that is coming in, the road traffic that is coming in, especially during the summertime where everybody wants to be in the beautiful Côte d'Azur, or maybe in Barcelona. You probably have the same problem here. And we now help the city to manage that. In Miami, we work with the stadium and the Miami city to manage the traffic around events, big football matches. And for rail transport, we work in France with SNCF to manage the train network to make sure that these high-speed trains are always running on time. And we're basically doing that by leveraging the data and the data sources. We have factual data sources like video and sensors, but we also, and I already talked to you about that, we can predict, which is basically a new set of data sources. A correlation is also giving us a new set of data sources. Of course, we can use the mobile phone, and we can use connected cars, and I already explained that in the example of Eindhoven. But last, but certainly not least, citizen collaboration and social media. And in the presentation from the University of Aberdeen, we talked about social media. We have now proven that integrating social media is really supporting you. And we believe in this so strong that we now build new alliances with companies we have never worked with before. So first, we have announced an alliance with Apple. Globally, we have an alliance for all businesses and all cities. We exclusively work with Apple for those cities to develop new solutions, giving the city managers and the local traffic managers new devices to give them insight on what is happening around them. We also connect the cars, and we think connecting the cars is really important. It will create a whole new set of data that you can use for a lot of things, including autonomous driving. And last but not least, we have introduced and announced a coordination and a cooperation with Twitter globally. So IBM and Twitter are working together to bring the tweets that are sent out by you, and thank you for that, about transportation, to use that as input for traffic management centers and managing the traffic. This is an example from Nairobi, where you have very little road sensors, basically no road sensors, very little cameras, and still we can manage the traffic, as you can see here, by using the Twitter feeds. We also do the same for public transport. This is an example of Dublin Bus, where we get the social media data to know if sometimes the bus is delayed, but that sometimes is not a big problem because the bus is every 5 minutes. But if your next bus is in 2 hours, and so you have to wait 2 hours, it's very important for you to know that you can catch this bus. That's where we use social media analytics to analyze the data from the Twitter feeds, knowing that people are complaining, my bus is now too late, so I will miss the next bus. I have to wait 2 hours. And then we can let the bus driver know, please wait an extra minute, because then you will have the connection to this other bus that will then bring you 10 new passengers who do not have to wait 2 more hours, but can still make it. So that is really bringing all the data together, providing insight by retrieving and correlating and filtering that data, and then analyzing that in events and incidents that we can prognose and even predict for cities. We're not only doing that on one platform for transportation, the same platform can be used for, as you can see, public safety, water, health and social welfare, energy buildings, stadiums and airport, because a city is not a silo. City needs to work together. And if we provide information across the silos in the city, of course with transportation as the key, then you can really make the city a better city to live in. So basically data is the heart and the art of smarter transportation. And with this we thank you for helping us create smarter cities.
Thank you very much for giving us so many concrete examples on how to use data to improve urban mobility. So now we are turning to the fifth and the last speaker. This speaker is Marc Rocky. Marc works for Indra, where he's the director in charge of new international business. And Marc is working in different countries in Europe, the US, India, and the Gulf region. And Marc will show us how to plan multimodality in a smart city context.
Okay, thank you very much. For those of you who don't know us, Indra is a large Spanish multinational, about 3 billion euros in revenue, 44,000 people in 138 countries. So it's a big business. We've been working in transport, traffic and public administration for more than 25 years. So the move into the smart city arena the last about 4 or 5 years ago was a logical progression for us. What I want to talk to you about today is a little very high level about multimodal planning, where the infrastructures, transport capacities, mobility policies and technology are managed together. We'll ask, what is multimodality? We'll look at the importance of planning, and we'll try and map the road to a multimodal system. First, what is multimodality? Normally when we talk of this, we look at it from the user's point of view. It's based on 4 main pillars: unified planning, unified payment channels, unified access, and interchange transport infrastructures. For example, my journey to the office, I could take my car, go to Park and Ride, catch a commuter train to Plaza Catalunya in the center of Barcelona, catch the metro, and then maybe get the bicycling bus hire, leaving it in the stop opposite my office. Now, what as a user do I expect from this? I expect to be able to consider this a single trip from door to door, even though I change to multiple transport modes. I want to manage it in that way. I want the transfers to be as transparent and as short as possible. I need the information received to be comprehensive and above all reliable. And I want to maximize my time. I'd rather wait in my car than at the station. But what about the city? We often don't take into account the city point of view. So we ask the same question: what do we want from the city point of view? We want the users to choose public transport instead of private transit. This helps efficiency, sustainability, reducing the carbon footprint of the city. But let's be honest, nobody chooses public transport for comfort. We need to make it fast, easy to use and reliable, delivering a predictable total journey time for me to get to work on time. Systems based on the same pillars: unified payment channels, unified access, and the interchange between transport infrastructures. But what does the multimodality planning mean? The planning is the creation of new mobility policies adapted to the city and different transport modes available, with a global vision and the aim of promoting the use of public transport and sustainable mobility and the reduction of the private vehicles in the city. This approach needs to be based on both the carrot and the stick. We will create policies restricting access to the undesired modes, the car, and at the same time offering attractive alternatives, adapting the public transport service to the user's demands. And planning is creating this alternative. So what are the keys? First, we need to see what resources the city has at its disposal already, and we can use these for the global planning. Most cities have an adaptive mobility management. That's managing the urban traffic environment, controlling the traffic lights and the accesses, using available technology to try and keep the traffic from reaching saturation. But once it gets there, there's nothing you can do, and you get gridlock in the city. So we need to make the public transport attractive to the users, taking a holistic management approach, covering all the transport modes in order to increase the overall efficiency of the system. And users we've seen from all of the panel are key to this. Users already have a lot of information systems available to them, but a lot of them are still static. They don't take into account incidents on other transport modes. We need to supply the information users really need to plan their journey. No more than that. We don't need to overload them with unnecessary data which creates confusion. But if there's an incident, we need to inform them proactively of the alternatives. Tell them to modify their route before they leave the house, not when they get to the station. However, all we can do is to suggest the changes in the route. If the customer doesn't listen, then they'll be contributing to the traffic problem, not helping solve it by using the suggested alternative. The only way to achieve this is by gaining the trust of the users. The information supplied must be reliable. It's better to give no information than incorrect information. As once we discover that the system is not trustworthy, we're not going to look at it, we're not going to believe it. So the keys. We need to look at all the systems we have, the rail, bus, car, bicycle, and need to optimize the system, take into account multimodal use. High-level applications using data from different modes have not been possible up until now using the typical isolated systems that have been available. With a new updated approach, we can create new possibilities. We create multimodal fare structures, information about all modes available from a single channel. We can create parking policies, reducing costs, those park and ride. We can create dynamic loading policies for delivery to shops. We've seen this mentioned elsewhere. The possibilities are endless. We need to carry out a comprehensive analysis of the entire transportation network to create the planning and decision-making support tools that allow planning and optimization across different modes. For example, if we have an incident on the metro, we could automatically reinforce the alternative bus routes. And we create dynamic management systems that react to the real passenger load at all time. And the end users will be able to generate true multimodal information for them, giving useful and reliable information covering all the transport modes available. This information needs to be well structured and proven to be reliable in order for them to act on it. In the example of the metro, if we propose a change to a bus to avoid the incident, we need to make sure there's enough bus available, reinforcing the route if necessary. Otherwise, all we're doing is moving them from one problem to creating a bottleneck in another. The objectives then in the multimodality. Schedule and transport means needs to be operated according to a timetable. Meeting this schedule is a must for all public transport modes and often is a franchise requirement. Maximisation of vehicle flow is a key objective of the modern infrastructures, and travel time reduction is one of the main requests and requirements of the public transport users. But predictable journey times are even more important. I need to know how long it's really going to take me to get to work, so I get there on time. Safety will always be an essential element, and the requirements are ever more strict. And in quality and comfort of the journey, the transfer time is key, with more coordination between the different transport means and real-time schedule adjustment to make sure that the two transport modes can communicate. So in order to reduce the traffic, we need to be more efficient in the management of private transport and improve multimodality. So we said it needs to be a carrot and a stick. It's not just enough to make restrictions on private traffic. If at the same time we don't improve multimodality, all we're doing is making angry drivers. The problem here generally is not technology, but political. The management of the different areas is carried out by different organisations or departments with different and often conflicting objectives. Not the case, as I see at Barcelona. Integration then is the key. As a philosophy, it allows us to create smart mobility solutions where different transport systems are integrated. The scope includes private vehicles and logistics, creating viable alternatives to combining public and private transportation. And it's the key to useful information. The passengers need not only the information about the current transport mode, but information relevant to their trip across all modes. So how do we reduce private vehicle use? There's many ways have been out there for many years. Park and ride systems have been used for a long time, but linking them with a fare collection system helps avoid people using them as a subsidised parking lot without actually catching a connecting trip. Or creating reliable real-time information on the smartphone allows the passenger to stay warm and dry in their car for as long as possible and leaving the vehicle just in time to catch the train. Access restrictions are also not new, but the use of technology allows more complex restrictions to deal with ever more complex problems in the city. For example, Santiago in Chile created multiple bus lanes, not just one lane, but this caused a problem of the cars that wanted to turn right across the lanes. So what they do is they allow the cars to use the lanes when they're turning, and we supplied a video management and back office system to detect which cars are turning and which are not, and emitting fines for any of those who are not complying with the rules. We also use in the same system data from the bus scheduling system and fine any buses that use the lane when they're not in service. In Alcobendas, near our headquarters in Madrid, we use number plate readers to limit access to residents only. But the schools can access a database there, creating information for the system to allow the parents to enter drop-off and pick-up time for the children. Or we can create eco-sustainable routes using a central database of electrical vehicles. The limit here is imagination of the policies, not normally technology. Urban tolls is just an extension of the same, creating a toll based on the use given of the car, type of vehicle, number of passengers. High occupancy lanes are heavily used in accesses, but they can also be used within the city centre with video detection to allow access or create fines. Collaborative transport for car sharing, all sorts of smartphone apps coming out there. Advanced logistics planning, we've seen discussed here before, coordinating the lorries at delivery time to make sure there's no congestion. And smart parking tries to reduce the amount of public-private vehicles circulating, which can be some 30% of cars in movement can be looking for a parking space in the centre. So it's important to balance the use of mobility policies and restrictions with an efficient and sustainable multimodal public transport system, which can take the load. If an attractive alternative to the car is not there, then the travelling public will not make the switch. To achieve this, we need to plan at a multimodal level, allowing the passenger to save time and have a reliable, predictable journey time, proactively informing him of any alternatives when appropriate. So finally, the challenges we have to meet in planning multimodality. We need to take a holistic approach to mobility management, planning across all the transport modes available. We need to enhance the interoperability between modes and reduce business processes which could interfere. Transfers need to be efficient. Nobody wants to stand in the rain for a quarter of an hour waiting for the transfer, or to see the bus pull away just as the train's arriving at the station. We need to plan dynamically, taking into account incidents in any one mode, acting accordingly in the remaining modes to meet the changes in the demand, the reinforcement of the buses if there's an incident in the metro. And finally, we need to give the travelling public the tools to exploit all the public transport benefits. And remember, we need to win their trust by consistently supplying reliable information and offering them travel alternatives when necessary. If we successfully meet these challenges, this will lead us towards a true multimodal system, satisfying the needs of both passengers and city alike. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark. So I think that those 5 presentations have been very informative, very inspiring. I hope you agree with me. And I would like to congratulate the speakers in addition, because all of them kept the time very well, which means that we have now, I think, about 15 to 20 minutes for questions. So I understand there are a number of microphones in the room. So please don't hesitate if you'd like to ask a question to any of the panelists. Please don't hesitate to do so. I don't see very well, so we'll move out of the line. So is there a first question in the room? Yes, please. So apparently you have to move to the microphone. So please tell us your name, the organization you are working with, and then your question, please. Thank you.
My name is Gladys Frame from World Bank Group. I have a question for Mr. Gomila of Barcelona. I was very interested in your presentation, thank you. And your first key objective was safe mobility, about reducing accidents. And I wondered if you could expand a little on what sort of smart solutions you have for that, maybe with a database, but also maybe with on-street measures. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. 2013 in Barcelona, we have 22-person diet. Okay, one was a car driver, 10 were pedestrians, and 11 were motorbikes. Okay, so the main aspects we are working with is with pedestrians are motorbikes. Okay, what we are doing, we are analyzing all the data, the accidents data, not only the died person. Okay, and we are identifying the zones with more risk. We are reviewing this. All the crossing from pedestrians, we are reviewing them, and with motorbikes, it's just today, the vice mayor is presenting a plan, an action plan for the motorbikes in several aspects. So the answer is we are now put the focus with pedestrians and motorbikes, and we are using everything that we can think about to improve it.
Thank you. Is there any other question? Oh. Anyone? So while you are thinking of some questions, and you can take this opportunity. Okay, there is someone. Yes, please.
Thank you. My name is Arturo Ardila. I'm also from the World Bank. My question in particular for the gentleman from IBM, but for all the speakers, is what is needed in particular? What is the key element that prevents all these gadgets, all this data gathering from just being that? Data, and as you mentioned, you need some intelligence behind. What is the key one or two factors that allows a city to start using intelligently all this information for solutions to bring about improvements? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a key question I get a lot from many of the cities. And what we first think, or what most cities think, is that the amount of sensors is the bottleneck, but it's not. Currently, we see that mobile phone and Twitter feeds and connected cars and Bluetooth and cameras are really the sensors that you need, and you don't need to invest in big infrastructure anymore. So that bottleneck has been taken away. There is, however, another kind of bottleneck, because it's the massive amount of data that you then suddenly get. And what you then really need to do is you need to be able to analyze that data in an efficient way, creating value from data. So you have data, value, and value from data can create wealth for the city. So you can basically reinvest the value that you create with analyzing the data and knowing better, for instance, what is the maintenance of the roads. So you only maintain the roads that are broken, so you save money. Or if you want to repair a road, then you do a combination of work, replacing the water pipes, replacing maybe the electricity cables and the road work. So in that way, cities can really save money. But coming back to your question is, what do cities really need? Yeah, basically, it's for us, it is the tools to harvest the data. And these are intelligent solutions that our company and others can provide to analyze the data which is there, to turn the data into real value for the city.
Thank you. Any other yes, please.
Yeah, if I'd like to add to that, it's the data's there, the systems we can supply. What we really need is the politicians to have the imagination to know they have a problem, to want to solve it. It's what we're seeing in Barcelona. And then the technical departments to imagine how we want to be able to use that. The data's there, the processing power is there. We can do fantastic things with video systems now. Now we've got all the tools, how are we going to use them? And that's when we need the imagination from the suppliers, from the city council, and it's wanting to do it. I think that's probably the key now.
Yeah.
maybe I can add to these answers maybe one silly thing, but only put what you are going to use. Okay, it's better to put only 20% of the investment, but that you are going really to use it. Otherwise, you have the idea that we are wasting money because if you don't use, you don't maintain, and I think it's first of all think about it, what you're going to do, and then spend the money. Maybe it's a silly answer, but
Abdulla or John, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, we've heard from the private sector now. With regard to one thing that is required is a strong leadership and belief that we can go ahead and achieve it. So without a strong leadership in this area, you cannot achieve the smart city objectives. And the most important thing is to have a strong leadership and a strong vision to move forward, and everyone then moves with it. That's my one thing that I think it's very important to have to make this a success. It's not the technology. Technology is available. It's not the data we're collecting, but it's the will that we need to move forward. And that will needs to be coming from top to bottom. So that's what I think, yeah.
Thank you. I see we have a question here, yes? From the World Bank as well?
Also for the World Bank, sorry.
So other people are allowed to ask questions, huh?
Yes. So I saw a very clear slide with actual potential benefits from ITS interventions. We at the World Bank are struggling on how to measure those impacts and I saw this number and I was so happy. So my question is very simple. Are those estimations or coming from experience, and how have you calculated them in gross, in general terms?
Yeah, what we do is in most city projects we try to work together with the university of that city. So, for instance, a 6% increase of retail sales in the city of Stockholm we got from the University of Stockholm. And what we do, we do a measurement before, we do a measurement after. But if you talk about pollution, it's easy to measure. There are very easy, cheap sensors. What is more difficult to measure, of course, is the impact of what is the reduction in incidents you can measure, but what is the effect of the incident or the reduction of response times, like in Madrid, that's more difficult. But we use all the data, and every city we talk to, we also convince them not only to do the project, but also to monitor the key performance indicators that we think we can influence, like pollution, congestion, retail revenue going up, etc., etc. And again, it is a bold decision of a city leader to also go for that. Because some people are a little bit afraid that at the end the results won't be that big. But we can assure you the results are really big.
Thank you. I think there are questions over there.
I'm Roberto Pruitera from Italy, and I work for ERA Group. Is a multi-utility that recently is trying to provide new kind of service to the cities. So we are thinking to many initiatives that already, we saw on the slide you introduced to us, and the main challenge we had is that the city doesn't have the money to pay this project, and the value of this project is much more important, and as much you are able to invest to have data, to collect data from sensor, from people, and so on. So what is the business case that can support, that can sustain this kind of solution? Because we are able to invest, but the city has to do something too. At the moment in Italy we have this big challenge. So, could you...
Yeah, what we see is that the payback of these solutions is fast. We talked to a large city in Ireland, and we saw that the payback of the transportation management center was less than a year. But also we see the new sources of income from road user charging. And it's good that you're not from the World Bank. Maybe also the World Bank can help financing some of the cities. But I think, when there is a small investment being done by the city, the return is a lot bigger. What we did for in relationship to asset management and maintaining the roads, we did an experiment with a city, and we asked the city, give us 1% of your total revenue or the total costs, what you spent, give 1% to us, and we will reduce the cost of your operations by 15%. And we could do that. So give us 1%, or give experts 1%, and we give you back 15%. And then you can invest this 15% new money that you're not spending on the wrong things like maintaining infrastructure that doesn't need maintaining. You can spend that money in increasing the citizens' well-being and lives and create smarter cities in Dubai or Barcelona.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's a very important question, the business case. Would like the other speakers to express views on this as well?
Yeah, and just going back to one of the points that that I alluded to in my talk, which is, the whole role of citizen sensing. I mean, with the ubiquitous nature of mobile devices, essentially that is another contributor to the information ecosystem. So if we can make it easier for people, we're all familiar with the phrase that that there's an app for that, and that's increasingly true. If we can make it easier for people to become engaged in providing feedback on anything, we'll talk about mobility, but retail, lifestyle, to engage in asset management, there's a massive power to be harnessed there. I think, though, just to go back to a point that that came up in answer to one of the previous questions, getting the institutional and organizational frameworks to harness this user-generated content is going to be an ongoing challenge. But certainly it should be lower cost. That would be my thought.
Yes, just to add to that, sometimes cost, yes, you can recover cost, as my colleagues here have said. And in Dubai, for example, we have a tolling system that is helping a lot in that area. But there are things that you cannot measure by cost. It's human lives. So our experience in Dubai, when we started the transformation of the transport system and the way people move around in Dubai, we've decided we had a very high level of people dying from accidents. We had something around 22 per 100,000. Today, we have 6 per 100,000, and we're trying to reduce it even further. So sometimes you have to balance what is more important. But there are also many ways, as my colleague said, that you can do things today with technology, with ideas, with crowdsourcing, that you can even reduce the cost of that. Like, for example, many cities, we also have it in Dubai, that we let the citizen tell us, report back to us through their mobile phones about problems in the city. If there is a road that needs a fix, if there is a road furniture that is broken and needs to be replaced. So that won't cost you. That will reduce the number. Doing this app, for example, costs you around a few thousands of euros. But the amount that you're going to save from that, from sending inspectors and reducing the time that they use for inspectors, is huge. So so there are many ways to do it, not necessarily spending money. Thanks.
Thank you. I see we have 2 more questions, please.
Hi, I think my question relates more to Mr. Gomila's idea of the super blocks in Barcelona. I think it's particularly interesting in the sense that it seems to be trying to adapt the existing built environment into the outcome that you mentioned. I also noticed that the timeline seemed quite tight. You were trying to implement it by 2018. Is that the part of the plan? So, whether you could share a little bit more details about the approach that Barcelona has been looking at to implement this type of concept, and whether there are certain areas right now that the city is looking at where you could, I suppose, pilot or prototype the concept itself.
Okay, the idea is not a new idea in Barcelona. and also in other cities in the world, because in Barcelona we are lucky because there one part of the city are very orthogonal streets. But the idea of the superblocks is not only to apply in this zone of the city, because the idea is to apply in all the city. I would say that the main aspect to implement this is to convince the neighbors inside the superblock that will be good for them. If we don't get to that point, in the first superblock that we are implementing, that will be a very bad news, because we will not be able to continue. So we have an scheme, an idea of what we want to do, and what we are beginning to do is to talk with the neighbors and say, okay, we have all this menu of actions. Talk with them. What do you think are the best actions to apply here at your superblock? And we are beginning like this. Maybe we'll not have the perfect superblock to come here next year and explain, okay? But we will have people happy, I said at the beginning, of this action. But it is not new. We have a lot of parts of the city where we don't have streets with a lot of traffic, and that works for a lot of years, okay? And the revenues of the sales are increasing in that zone. So the change of the model split, it's really you can go together with the economical activity of the city. The idea is only to improve and that people accept the change.
Thank you. So I'm afraid we have now reached the end of the session, and I'd like to ask you to join me in thanking the speakers for their excellent presentations. And thank you for the nice and interesting exchange we have had after the presentations. So thank you, and see you later.